Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Jury Trial Mentor. My name is John. I'm your host. I'm talking to my brother, Carl. Carl, today, Charlie Adelson's defense team filed a motion for continuance. You called this a few weeks ago when you were interviewed by Surviving the Survivor. How did you know this would happen?
Well, Charlie's been in confinement for 10 months now, and his trial date's in a couple months. So to be able to have the attorney be effective in going through the sheer volume of evidence against him, that would be very hard to do within a year. And so I was expecting a continuance even more than the 3 to 4 months he was asking for. The fact that Katie has 3 proffers now, not just one, but there's a second, a third, we don't know how long they were, but that if there's more than one, that leads me to believe there's something very material that she says that piqued the prosecutor's interest in using her as a witness in upcoming trial or trials against the Adelsons.
Does Charlie's lawyer's distance from Tallahassee pose a problem for him in this case?
That's something that's very problematic as a trial attorney, as a defense attorney. If you want to try a case 7 hours away, granted there's a nonstop flight, but you're away from your whole life down in Miami there if you're coming up to Tallahassee. And so he's living in a hotel, and he's going to have to essentially live there until trial. So he's going to have to be meeting with Charlie all the time. He has up to 70 depositions, he said in this motion. So that's a lot of time, boots on the ground. And so there's no way, maybe once in a while on weekends he's going to fly home and see his family, but he pretty much has to live there in Miami, I would say, to be able to be prepared adequately for this trial.
So you predict Judge Wheeler will grant the continuance?
Right, totally. And it's in the interest of justice because you don't want to have anybody face those kind of charges without having their attorney feel confident that he's prepared.
What effect do you think this has on Charlie sitting in this horrible jail cell in Leon County, which is worse than conditions in state jail? What do you think effect this has on him? And could that play into him perhaps being more amenable to listening to Daniel if he's, for instance, offering or suggest, hey, man, you might want to consider a deal?
I think that can always play an interest in a client's decision whether they want to go contest or not. If you're out on the streets, you're not having an idea what it would be like if you lost your case. And so he's hanging around there, and he's totally away from all of his luxurious style of living. And so being in a jail cell there, and he can't even see his family, keep in mind. The only person you can see from the outside world that is directly connected to helping your cause is your attorney. And so how much time is he going to spend going over the evidence with him? I don't know. But you have, like I say, you have to do enough to make your client feel like they can see you actually working your case. Because if they don't see you working the case, they're not going to think you're working the case. And so having depositions, those up to 70 depositions lined up, that's going to take a lot of time, and Charlie's going to be there at the depositions as well, most likely. So if those are happening, this is still an early trial date. As you may recall, Tim Jansen, a local Tallahassee defense lawyer there, said murder trials, they take 2 or 3 years. So if they're 2 or 3 years from the time they charge them, if that's the norm, this is still an early trial date in the July-August timeframe.
You've been a criminal defense attorney for many, many years in the past. Let's say this is your case, and you see all this voluminous evidence, not even including the 3 proffers evidence that nobody knows what's in it yet.
Right.
Is this an average amount of evidence facing your client, or is this a lot? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is a case that has many co-conspirators involved in it, and so that's going to take automatically a lot more evidence to gather from the prosecution and that they're in turn going to turn over to defense. And so you also have a lot of digital evidence. If you think about all the wiretaps and audio evidence, and now we're seeing that there's WhatsApp digital evidence as well, that all takes a lot of time to go through, read, and like I say, you got to catalog it and figure out how you're going to strategize to be able to effectively represent your client in court.
Carl, how much evidence do you think the prosecution has against Charlie right now, with or without the 3 proffers of Katie's?
I think the Dolce videotape and the wiretaps, you really can't get much better evidence than that to prove somebody's guilt. All those conversations would not happen to a person that wasn't part of a conspiracy for murder against Dan Markel. And so that's going to be the real tough thing, the defense attorney trying to explain that away. And so that many hours and that degree of inculpatory evidence, it's actually a great example also of circumstantial evidence, right? There's a lot of talk about, well, there's no direct evidence against a particular defendant. And so in this particular case, if you just look at that Dolce videotape, there is nothing in there that directly implicates Charlie. If you just look at the actual words of the transcripts, there's nothing in there that says he did it, right? He's actually saying, I didn't do it. And if I had done it, I'd be and I thought they're on to me, I'd be on the first flight out here with Miami with you, Katie, right? So nothing in there in and of itself says he did it. How does that look guilty for him, though? Because of the words that he used and the way he tried to talk and code and all those kind of the sneaky way he tried to get topics discussed without actually talking about it. So that's what's going to make a jury look at that and think that's only revealing the state of mind of a guilty co-conspirator.
Yeah, because innocent people don't behave like this.
The way him and Donna talked in code, and they were freaking out about who is this hitman contact from Tudo or Tato, whatever it was. Who would care what that is? You'd call the police and say these people are threatening or harassing me, trying to extort me, and blackmail me for some kind of $5,000. So, but they acted as somebody that was a co-conspirator would have acted, and that was the whole purpose of the target, to flush out who was actually involved or not.
So you expect the motion for continuance to be granted?
Yes, it should be in the interest of justice. That just 1 year out is just way too short a time frame to be prepared on this big a case.
Well, is the 3 or 4 months considered a huge delay anyways in the legal circles?
Well, it's all on a case-by-case basis. The motion did say he doesn't expect to have any continuances beyond that, so that's pretty fast for a defense attorney to be able to say he's ready to go in less than a year and a half on a case this big.
Okay. And before we go, Carl and I have been working on a slideshow video we'll be putting out in the next couple days, and I'll give you guys an advanced preview. It's going to be called Indicators of Winnie Adelson's Involvement in the Murder of Ex-Spouse Dan Markel. We've been putting this together for the last couple weeks, so if you want to see that and be notified, please hit the subscribe button. This is a new channel that Carl and I are doing, and hope you like our content. And if you're interested in the Dan Markel case, we'll be following this going forward in all future 3 trials. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.